to me, I wouldn't have had a problem. They didn't.
Our podcast is sponsored.
They came to me when my lawyers sent them a cease and desist, and then they go, "Oh, what if we gave you a percentage of this money that we've been making?" Now, if it had nothing to do with my podcast, they wouldn't have offered me that.
I think a precedent has to be established once it becomes really profitable, and right now it's not. And I totally agree with you that you can't take your stuff and just put it up there without asking and then put advertisement on the application. Even if it's indirectly, if there's a certain amount of ads that, you just get every time you go to Stitcher, but one podcast gets a really high number of downloads like your Monday morning podcast does.
Right.
Well, that's you're selling that. You're selling the Monday morning podcast. That's what you're selling when you're advertising. I totally get that. But the way I look at podcasting in the first place is I agree that it's good to have sponsors that pay for things, and you could make money off the show, and it's good to get paid for someone downloading it and listening to it. But for me, what's important is that people get it. That's what's important. For me, it's important that it's the reason why it's free on my website, as well as free on Ustream, as well as free on iTunes, as well as on Stitcher. I just want
Ustream's making shit off of you right now.
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, they have to pay for bandwidth.
Do you do Ustream?
They take care of us, and
to be honest with you, I don't know.
I found out YouTube?
I found out that people.
No, Ustream is the video. We're doing this right now. This is.
I don't do video. I don't do video.
Do you have a YouTube account?
But this thing,
Most
I'm
people
actually trying to get advertising on my website. I mean on my podcast. I don't have a problem with that. But this is like. This is the game of this business where it's like the artist does the work, and then the business guys come in and they give you the fucking Heisman. Right. I mean, it's right through the whole business. Those guys who made fucking Lord of the Rings never got paid. They made $6 billion. They had to sue to get their fucking money.
What do you mean?
Look it up. They got the whole fucking thing. That was a huge lawsuit.
Is that one of those things where they have Hollywood type accounting where they show losses?
Hollywood, even though the movie we had $4 billion in whiteout and $9 billion in paper clips, so we're still not in profit. And the fucking the director doesn't get paid. And it was a huge fucking lawsuit. And and then whatever the conglomerate was, they decided that it was cheaper to just get sued. They paid themselves out, then they imploded the thing and just left. And these guys, and it's totally fucking legal.
Wow. It's an interesting thing, this whole podcast thing, though, isn't it? How, basically what we're doing right now is, there at any moment when we put one of these things out during the week, 250,000 people download this fucking thing. And that's a big number of human beings that you could just reach on your own. Don't you find that like shows are more packed with like your real fans now than ever before? Do you find that? I find it's a combination of doing Opie and Anthony, doing morning radio, my specials, and my podcast. People definitely listen to the podcast, it's a great way to get out and have people come out to your shows. But it's one of those things where like I don't do that shit where I'm getting paid in exposure and you're taking all the fucking money. Right. And then so for the rest of my life, in order for me to get the fruits from my labor, I got to go fly to fucking Tennessee. Right. When it's like I'm doing a fucking radio show here. Right. Radio guys don't go on the fucking road. Like for some reason, it just all goes back to. But then when you do your monkey dance, you get paid, and it's like no value is being put on the fact. When you go on radio shows, you don't get money. I see their error in judgment. And I see that what they're doing is they take something that's already free and they make a device that allows you to get it to people that wouldn't ordinarily get it. But it does. When I get to his point that when I do radio, I'm in there, I fly in there, I do radio, and I'm hyping my shows. That's the point of it. My podcast is not hyping my shows. It's hyping you. My podcast is my radio show. It's my radio show. That's what this is, a fucking radio show, dude. Right. Just because they call it a podcast, it's my radio show. I can't just hijack the Stern show and put it on my site and just start selling advertising. And then when he tells me to cease and desist, go, hey, can I let you in on some of this money? And then I go, well, Howard, you're fucking huge, man. Why don't you go fly and stand on a stage and tell jokes in Kansas City? You'll get paid that way. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I understand. Like it becomes an issue if it takes away viewers. I would love to be in business with those guys with their exposure, but you just have to do it the right way, dude. You don't just take it and make money and wait till I find out about it and then offer me a cut. I think when it comes to podcasts and certain things on the internet, especially when it comes to RSS feeds, that's just
common for the internet. Like there's companies, there's
so many. What you're saying though is wrong, Brian, because
business.
it's not RSS feeds that you're dealing with. You're dealing with someone copying a thing and then sending it out through an application, which is completely different. As RSS feeds, you're going to get an account of every download.
He has presented the two classic arguments that they do when they fuck artists. They talk about exposure, what great exposure this is, and then secondly, let me finish. And then secondly, he did the whole this is just the way it's done. Like, you know, like when a manager hands you that contract where this automatically renews if I get you one thing at the Chuckle Hut, and you say, dude, this is bullshit. And it's like, no, everything's negotiable.
You're right. Yeah.
It's negotiable.
If you have an RSS feed, as an example, if you have something on you have something on most websites, WordPress, you have an RSS feed.
Right.
There's programs like, there's one called Flipboard on the iPad. What it does is it collects RSS feeds and it repackages it and makes your website kind of look like a magazine. But they kind of mix advertising in there here and there. You know, there's programs that do that. Same thing that Stitcher doing, except the only thing that Stitcher's doing is different is taking it off your server, putting it on their server, so it doesn't affect your bandwidth.
But that's a big issue, and it's not affecting the bandwidth.
Yeah, I'm not confused with what they're doing.
I know.
I'm not confused with what they're doing. You've explained it like 3 times, dude. I understand what it is.
I know, but they're not directly like I'm trying to say is they're not like these little banner advertisements. Like that's not making millions of dollars.
It doesn't matter, Brian. It's affecting the downloads from iTunes, which affect his numbers.
Yeah, but you can get those numbers from Stitcher. And if you don't want to be on Stitcher, you can tell them to take you off of Stitcher.
Yeah, but even if you get those numbers from Stitcher,
and I told them, and then they fucking obviously, dude. This is the funny thing. Obviously, they're making some money if they offered me to stay. Okay, and I also know you can't pay your rent unless you're making money. I'm not saying that those guys are millionaires over there. What I'm saying is that's not the way you conduct business. That's wrong. You can't do that, man. That's wrong. You can't just take somebody's creative shit and just start making money off of it and not paying them. I don't understand. Like that's that bizarre internet thing where people feel that because they can see it and they can put it on their site that they own it and then have the right to do whatever they want with it and make money off it and not pay anybody. I'm not being a dick here, dude. I'm really not. I'm just asking to go about it. I would love to be on Stitcher in a functional business model. I don't want to be on it where it's just you just fucking swipe it and make money and wait for me to find out about it.
One thing you should definitely do is take off your podcast off of your RSS feed, so that because you're not only a Stitcher doing this, about probably 100 different companies are using your RSS feed in your MP3 to make money right now.
Okay. So there's probably 100 people dealing heroin.
100 companies that are using his shit to make money.
There's so many things like Stitcher. There's so many websites that will play your MP3s.
I know, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, dude. We're talking about what's right and wrong. You just basically said, well, you busted this drug dealer. There's another 100 drug dealers out there doing it. It's like, I'm not saying that there aren't other people doing it. I'm saying why I'm not on Stitcher anymore.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's what the RSS means on the internet. If you're putting out an RSS feed, you're pretty much saying, all right, this is an unprotected work that I am sending out for you guys to have.
Yeah,
yes.
Brian,
and do whatever you want.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you can then go make money off of it. I'm saying this is free.
It's free.
Here you go.
All right, well, that's what I'm saying. You need to take off your RSS feed off your website.
No, Brian, because they're profiting off of it.
You're totally missing the point.
You're missing the point.
I'm not missing the point. I'm not missing the point. That's what an RSS feed is. That's mean that you're pretty much, it's like an antenna advertising. This is my MP3s.
Right now, you know what you're doing is you're telling me what I'm thinking, what my intent is.
No, I'm just saying what an RSS feed is.
Brian, we know what an RSS feed is. It's just something that allows people to download something. It's an automatic download.
You're saying that because I'm saying that I'm on that.
Yeah, but you can't sell advertising. Use someone's content and sell advertising. I don't know why that's so hard for you to understand.
Because they're not directly selling content, advertising towards your content. That's what I'm saying. Like the RSS feeds, there's websites that are playing his MP3 right now on their thing.
Brian, this is ridiculous. But you don't even
because it's like I
know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, you don't. You're using shitty logic. Your logic sucks because they're selling advertising and they're using other people's free stuff to sell ads.
When you listen to a radio station, you don't put on the radio station because of the fucking advertising. It's the bands that bring you there. Like, these guys play the music I want. That's why the bands get played. People are going to Stitcher.
So you have a problem with YouTube too then? Do you have videos on YouTube?
Dude, this is one of these guys, like, this is one of these guys where it's just like, you can't make a point because he's already
RSS feeds
he's
are
already
used.
thinking of his next point, and he just wants to be right.
No, I'm just saying that's what RSS feeds. If you don't want your shit like distributed and like made money off it, like you don't have an RSS feed on your website. RSS feed on your website is for other websites to grab and use your content.
No, it's not. It's to get shit for free.
Applications.
No, it's to download shit for free. It's something that allows you to keep up with
free.
people as they put out podcasts. They go to your iPod.
Stitcher does. Stitcher grabs your RSS feed and repackages.
No, it doesn't, Brian. It copies your MP3. You're wrong.
And it gets it from
copies your
RSS
MP3 and then sends it out through its own application and
Dude,
has advertising on its application.
You are 100% wrong, and there's no way to convince him because he's totally convinced of his argument.
Okay.
Yeah.
Totally convinced of it.
Well, Brian, the point is...
Dude, we're not saying you're a bad person. You're looking down in your lap, you're sulking.
You cannot... Listen, you use the YouTube argument, and it's a shitty argument, and here's why. If fucking YouTube was stealing Bill Burr's shit and putting it on YouTube and then selling ads, that would work. That would be like, hey, what the fuck? You can't have Bill Burr's shit on. But YouTube is fans. It's some kid in Nebraska that thinks Bill Burr's hilarious, and he watches his special on Comedy Central, and he takes his computer, and he edits a 10-minute chunk, and he throws it up on YouTube, and
Which
then people
I have
get
no
to
problem
enjoy.
with.
Exactly.
I have no problem with. I don't even have a problem.
It's completely different.
Like it's bad enough when I have a DVD coming out, and the second somebody sees it, then they put it on there. But I understand now. It's like, okay, the DVD thing is over now. Like I get that thing, but this is where the problem comes. Is if you then take my content, okay, and then start advertising off of it,
yes,
and you don't fucking pay me. That's the thing. I understand that my shit's going to end up on the internet, and people are going to get it for free. And that's just the way things are now. I don't have a problem with that. The big fucking hurdle is when you take it and then you start making money
off
off
an application, then have ads on that application.
Yeah, and you start making money off
your
it.
argument's completely valid.
There's a reason why they came back to me when I took it down and offered me a cut.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why they didn't want me to take it down, because I have listeners who go there. And when they go there, they see the ad and they read it. And in the advertising world, that means, well, we get enough guys looking at it, they're going to fucking buy something. But if they're going there because they like your podcast or they like my podcast, that's why they have to kick you a little bit of money.
Yeah, there's
I'm not
a
saying
reason
a ton
why
of
all
fucking
these
money.
people
I'm
want
not
to
saying
pull it
any
down.
of that shit. I'm not saying, like, their website is fucking awesome. The way they do business is not.
And the YouTube argument, the thing about YouTube that's crazy is that even though the kids are putting Bill Burr's podcast or Bill Burr's stand-up MP3s or clips from a movie that's funny, they're getting sued by all these people that own that stuff.
Which I wouldn't.
And then it gets pulled down.
That's one of those things where if Stitcher wasn't making any money and just want to fucking throw it out there, I wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you're making money off of my podcast. You got to give me some money. Those kids who take my specials and put them all over the fucking YouTube, I love it.
Yeah.
That's fucking great. I have no problem with that. If they were somehow figured out a way to make money, you have to fucking pay me.
Right.
A certain portion. And I respect the fact if you come up with the business model that makes that, because I don't have the business model, but you still, the content is
the model
mine.
is you start charging for your podcast.
What's that?
The model is you start charging for your podcast.
What do you mean?
That's pretty much how you have to. If that is, or if you protect your MP3.
Yeah, I want to have ads.
You have ads.
That's what I want to have. I want to have ads.
You don't want to charge.
And I don't want to have
podcast.
somebody take my podcast and have advertising around it and that type of shit and make money, not tell me they're taking my podcast, earn money, and not give me any of the money. That's all I'm saying. I don't have any problem. I would love to be in business with those guys. Like if they fucking did it the right way, they didn't. So I just had them take it down. I mean, it's just normal business. But,
yeah,
I mean, I think eventually that there's...
Look, everybody has
I'm not even saying that eventually I won't be back up on Stitcher because they already offered me something. But what I'm saying, the reason why I took it down is because what they did was not right. That's just not how you do business. It's stealing.
I agree. Our situation is totally different. I agreed to be on Stitcher because my way of looking at it is I just want more people to get the podcast, and our only advertisement that we have is by the Fleshlight. And
right.
I have no idea. I mean, having them on Stitcher, in my opinion, that's good for the Fleshlight. It's good for that company that sponsors us.
I met with some people the other day who want to read. They want to sell advertising, and on my podcast, and they want to do a 50-50 split. And I'm like, dude, that sounds cool.
My feeling is
but
that I'm going to bring in my own advertisers, and I've got some other people that I'm looking at as far as advertisers. It's got to be something that I think is valid, and I'm just going to have them just advertise the podcast, and you can put it wherever the fuck you want, man. Put it anywhere. I don't care. What's important to me is that it gets out there.